Hi, Paul Donovan here, and welcome to the AV Technician channel on YouTube. If you have noticed as an AV technician that there's another road case full of gear that arrives for your show, most likely it's because your event has equipment for doing Zoom or a virtual platform of some type. It's amazing how we have now added in a bundle of equipment that was never used before, but we use it now. If you'd like to follow my channel, click on subscribe. It keeps you up to date when I post new videos. Don't forget to hit thumbs up because you like the video, and I have comments open, so please feel free to comment about this video. I welcome your comments. So I've been an AV technician for more than 2 decades. And the post-pandemic world has changed an awful lot of what we do. But yet it hasn't changed. We now just add in these virtual components, such as a Zoom or a webinar or whatever you want to call it. We have added in more things. Now, the company I work with primarily likes to follow the KISS principle. You all know what KISS means. Keep it simple, stupid. Who's stupid, I don't know, but that's the KISS principle. And so we like to do this all the time, is just to see if we can keep things simple. So what is in our road case for virtual gear? Well, I'm not going to talk about the stuff that's in there normally for any in-person event. I'm not going to talk about mixers and microphones and projectors and screens and all that stuff. What I am going to list to you is talk to you about is the things that have come into our bundle that are used for doing webinars. Now, one of the most obvious ones, of course, is to have a camcorder. Now, you do not have to have a very expensive camcorder to do webinars. There's no reason to have a big 6K, Blackmagic, weird, whatever they call themselves. I forget the name of their camera. Cost $5,000 just for the body before you even buy a $5,000 lens for it. You don't need it. In fact, almost any camera these days that does high definition 1080p can do the job. We happen to use a Canon X35 or X15 camera. We like it. It does everything we want it to do, and it has the added advantage of having an SDI port on the side of it. So not only can we get video out of the camera in HDMI format, we can get video out in SDI format. And if you don't know what that means, watch for a video sometime soon where I'm going to talk about the merits of HDMI over SDI. So we have a camcorder and, of course, a tripod. Now, we try not to get the El Cheapo tripods. We try to get something like a Manfrotto or some other brand name that has got a decent fluid head on it, mostly because sometimes you need to pan and so on, pan and tilt and all that kind of stuff. Now, we generally go out on an event with at least 2 laptop computers, most of the time with 3. Now, we used to, pre-pandemic, always have at least 1 laptop, sometimes 2. But now we intend to go up with 3. The first 2 computers are primarily related to the broadcast, related to the Zoom, the webinar. So these 2 computers we tend to get are what is generally well known is called the gaming computer. You'll know them because oftentimes their keyboards have red lights on them. That's because the kids who play games, I don't do it, but if you do gaming on computers, you like to have the red keys so it doesn't distract you and all that kind of stuff. So we tend to get the gaming laptops out there. Now, the ones my company use, generally speaking, have 8 gigabytes of RAM. They have a hard drive, not SSD. They have a native 1920 by 1080 screen, and that's pretty critical when you're trying to fire things up onto projectors too. They have an audio in and an audio out jack. In case you hadn't noticed, a lot of laptops today do not have an in and an out jack. They have just a single jack that does everything, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So we have that. Now, my own personal laptops, I have acquired over the years a couple of laptops. I have upgraded them to 16 gigabytes of RAM. I have SSD drives in them, and I just like them. My personal ones are Acer. The company that I work with a lot has Asus and MSI. They're just gaming computers. They do run hot. They do run a lot of power. By the way, if your computer has a little baby size adapter for it, that's not a gaming computer. That's not a powerful computer. It cannot handle the load. A gaming computer will come with a very large brick. I think it's 130 watt power supply, and that's what is needed because the computer does work a little extra overtime. Okay? So try to be sure that you get a gaming computer that has that bigger power supply, has the native 1920 by 1080p screen, and I'll talk in a moment about how to get audio in and out of that laptop. Now, if you go onto the stores, the online stores that's selling laptops, gaming computers start in the area of $900 US. That's like 1,000, 1,100 Canadian. If you want to upgrade the memory and make sure you have a bigger SSD drive, then you might end up spending a total of say 1,500 Canadian or 1,200 US. It's a worthwhile investment because not only can you use it for the streaming, they're also powerful enough to do video editing, and that's a whole different topic, but they're wonderful that way. Now, oftentimes when we go out to our events, we now have a third laptop, and this is primarily to fire out the PowerPoint that goes up on the screen in person, but we also branch that, we split that signal so it comes into the broadcast laptop. Now, we always recommend when you do a webinar that you use a wired connection to the internet. This means using Ethernet, Cat5, Cat6, Cat7 cabling. And therefore, you probably want to get an Ethernet switch, or hub is another word that is used. Usually a 1 in and 4 or 5 out, or 8 out, whatever. It's whatever size switch hub you think you're going to need. Since you're going to have 3 computers, you should have a minimum of a 4-port switch hub. Nowadays, most of them come with 5 ports. Or more. You need that because you need to split the signal coming from the wall to go to the laptops. And we do connect every laptop, even if it's not part of the webinar. We connect every laptop to the internet because you never know when you're going to have to pick up something that is on the internet. Then you're going to need some form of a video capture card. Now, it says the word card, but that comes from the old days when we had desktop computers and we had a physical card we used to slide into the desktop. Nowadays, it's something you plug in on USB. Most video cards, at least the decent ones, need to be connected to a USB 3 connection. And if your laptop is like a lot of them, that means it's got a little blue tab on the jack on the laptop. Those generally, most laptops nowadays come with at least one of those blue tabs, which is a USB 3. And you need the USB 3 because video takes an awful lot of bandwidth. And if you know anything about USB 3, it has more bandwidth than you could ever load it down with. So don't worry if you need to add in 2 or even 3 video capture cards. It can handle it. It can handle on a single USB 3 port. Now you do have to have a little switch hub, not switch, but a hub, so that you can split that port. Now we use a company called Epiphan. Epiphan creates a lot of video related products, and one of the products we use is the Epiphan HD, which is the one that can be used for HDMI, and also the Epiphan SDI. They are not cheap. The SDI one, last I checked, was over 700 Canadian dollars, and the green one, the HD one for HDMI, tends to be about 400, 450 Canadian dollars. But what makes them so perfect is you don't have to have a driver. Any Windows computer, and in fact most Mac computers too, you shove it into a USB 3 plug, it works instantly. It doesn't care if you send it a 720p, a 1080p, 1080i, it works, which is amazing. Driverless peripherals. An HDMI splitter. 1 to 4. That means 1 HDMI signal in to 4 out. Now, you probably won't need all 4 channels, but it never hurts, okay? The reason you want the splitter is your PowerPoint computer is going to send out a signal, the HDMI PowerPoint slide, through the HDMI cable. You want to capture that into your Zoom, and so you need to have the signal split. One split comes to your capture card going into your broadcast computer, and the other one goes up to the front to the projector. Now, earlier I was mentioning something about how laptops today only have a single headphone jack. This is the TRS-S jack, which handles both speaker and microphone. If the thing is configured correctly, you can have a stereo sound input as well as a stereo sound output in the TRSS mode. That means the jack has got 4 little slots on it. But it really wreaks havoc because you can't take a standard stereo 1/4-inch jack, drop it into your laptop. The laptop doesn't know what to do with it. Although of some of the modern laptops, it will pop up a little box and you can say this is line in, or this is stereo out, or speaker out, and so on. I often find they're not reliable in that. And so what I often recommend people to do is to purchase a small USB dongle. That's an amazing word. Dongle means a little device that you add to your chain. Get a USB dongle that plugs in the USB port on your laptop, has a standard headphone jack and microphone jack, the mini size, pink for microphone, green for headphone. And what happens is it becomes a capture card for audio. You plug it in, most of them will just instantly pick up, and now all you do is you go into your settings on whatever program you're using and you tell it to look for the USB audio, both the microphone in and the sound out. Some of those devices are $20 on Amazon. Easy. You can get more expensive ones, you can get super fancy ones, but all you need to get is sound in and be able to have sound go out. Now, one of the things that I like, we got in our company, is we got a little metal rack that allows to have a laptop and a laptop stacked upon each other. Because oftentimes our tech table is so crowded with gear that we don't have room to spread out our 3 laptops. And so what I do is I take the 2 laptops we use for broadcast and I double stack them. It's optional, you don't have to have it. Now, I like to use OBS Studio, and if you haven't learned about OBS Studio, follow me in the next couple of months because I am going to do a whole series on OBS Studio. OBS Studio is an amazing thing, and it can do totally virtually switching between inputs and various things that you want to have it do. In fact, it's so effective, well, you're not going to believe it. Did you know that it's free? There is no charge for OBS Studio. Now, I have gotten quite, well-versed. I hate to say expert, but I've gotten to be well-versed in Zoom. I've gotten to be well-versed in OBS. I've learned how to use our video switcher, the Roland V1 HD. I've learned to use it. I know some of its tricks, how to do things like picture-in-picture and so on. But I would end up talking far too long, and I've already talked way too long. You know, I'm rambling again. But I'm going to create some videos about Zoom, about OBS, about all this area in future videos. So please keep an eye on my channel for these future videos. In fact, click subscribe on this channel so that you will catch notice when I have new videos. And don't forget to hit a thumbs up because you like this video. I'm Paul Donovan for avtechnician.ca. Thank you for watching and have a great day.